So let's talk about barnacles today, shall we? So I usually start my videos by talking about the taxonomy of the animal in question. So like talking about what phylum or order or class or whatever that the animal is part of, what other animals that they're related to, stuff like that. But we're gonna put a pin in that for barnacles. We're gonna talk about it. Oh, we're gonna talk about it, but a little later in the video. Okay, so barnacles have been around for about 320 to 330 million years, which for context, if this is at all helpful, means that they were probably chilling with sea stars and hitching rides on horseshoe crabs, but moray eels hadn't shown up yet to join the party. And fun fact, barnacle fossils have been very helpful in determining the migratory patterns of ancient cetaceans, which are like whales and stuff. In terms of where barnacles live in the world, they live everywhere. There's no point in highlighting or circling where, because like, yeah, if there's marine water and something for a barnacle to cling to, you're probably gonna find barnacles. They can be found in waters as deep as 600 meters, but the majority of them live in depths of 100 meters or less. And if you're an American like me, 600 meters is equal to this, and 100 meters is equal to that. And if you're an avid beachgoer, you already know that barnacles are pretty easy to find outside of the water, because these guys are pro at sealing themselves up to protect against desiccation. But they're not just found on rocks and piers and other random inanimate objects, but also on other animals, right? We've all seen this. Barnacles can stick to basically any surface that's hard enough, so that is everything from boats to whales. And when they stick to something, they commit. They stick to it for life. They can't pop off and find another place. It is till death do they part between a barnacle and their chosen substrate, and often even long after that. And the lifespan of a barnacle can be anywhere from a few weeks to several decades, depending on the species. So how does a barnacle attach to something? Well, when a barnacle hatches from an egg, they start out as a little free-swimming creature called a nauplius, and then eventually metamorphosize into a cyprid, cyprid. And this is the stage where the barnacle will start looking for a place to settle. By the way, when I was looking for a picture of a cyprid, I found this. It's like a scientific drawing of one from the 1820s, and oh my god, look at him. Look at him! Look at how cute he is! Perfection incarnate. Anyway, so the cyprid swims around for a while until they bump into a surface that they think is a good place to settle, and once they choose a spot, they sort of thunk their head against the surface and release a bunch of glue from their antennae that's literally called cement. And this cement is tough stuff. It's one of the strongest naturally occurring glues in the world. It has an attachment strength of at least 9.252 times 10 to the 5th newtons per square meter, which, gonna be honest, it's been a minute since I've thought about newtons in scientific notation, so I don't really know what this number means, but according to Google, that is equivalent to about 134 pounds per square inch, which I guess is really strong. I don't really have a frame of reference for this. Anyway, once they are pretty solidly attached to the substrate, they go through another round of metamorphosis so that they go from looking like this to looking like this. And yeah, just to make sure this is clear, they cement themselves to whatever surface they're going to spend the rest of their lives on, head first. I bet some of you are wondering if barnacles are considered parasites, but almost none of them are, except for the Rhizocephala. They're a group of barnacles that are like legit parasitic, but they only infect crustaceans, mostly crabs, and when they do, they... Wait, I'm sorry, what? The Rhizocephala are barnacles that parasitize other crustaceans and exercise a profound control over their hosts by affecting them at morphological, physiological, and behavioral levels. Paramount among the numerous changes induced in the hosts is parasitic castration. They put that in italics, y'all. Gonads of parasitized crabs do not mature, and in consequence, parasitized hosts do not reproduce. The end effect could be described either colloquially as transforming the host into a robot that only serves the needs of the parasite, or more appropriately, as creating an organism possessing the phenotype of the host and the genotype of the parasite. Okay, so for those who don't know these terms, phenotype is essentially the physical characteristics of an individual organism, and genotype is the genetic makeup of an individual organism, so all of this is terrifying. I thought parasitic barnacles would stick to a crab and like occasionally suck out some of their juices, but oh my god. This is like something out of a horror movie. Sorry, got off track there. But yeah, the majority of barnacles are not considered parasitic because their survival doesn't depend on hurting the animal they're attached to. The cement they use doesn't hurt skin or shells, and barnacles are filter feeders, not bloodsuckers or flesh eaters or anything like that. And these modified legs called cirri
Cirri.
Okay, cirri. That sounds weird, but cirri. They use modified legs called cirri to collect and eat plankton. Barnacles can negatively affect the boats that humans sail on. According to the US Navy, heavy barnacle growth can increase weight and drag on a ship by as much as 60%, resulting in 40% more fuel consumption. By the way, cirri is where barnacles get their Latin name. They're part of the infoclass Cirripedia, which now brings us to the part of the video where I talk about their taxonomy. So I actually already let slip earlier in the video what subphylum barnacles are a part of, but if you missed it, let me ask you really quick, just by looking at them, who do you think they're related to? Like, do you think they're related to corals? Or gastropods? Or bivalves? Think about it for a second. Really solidify that answer in your mind. Okay, you got it? Now brace yourself, because you're probably wrong. Barnacles are part of the infoclass Cirripedia, as previously established, which is in the subphylum of Crustacea. They're crustaceans. They're in the same group of animals as shrimp and lobsters and crabs, which is just so crazy to me because this, as we established in my last video, is not related to this, despite the fact that this looks much more similar to this than this. Like, if I didn't know and you asked me which of these are related to this, obviously I would pick this because this doesn't look like this. I honestly thought until my last semester of college that this was related to this and not this. Like, these two are related to each other and this isn't? Evolution! What are you doing, man? And people have known this since like the 1800s. This guy described barnacles as nothing more than a little shrimp-like animal standing on its head in a limestone house and kicking food into its mouth. I didn't know that until I was 2 seconds away from graduating with a degree in marine biology. Now, I do have to disagree with the use of the word little in that quote, in the sense that not all of a barnacle is little. They got a certain organ that's, it's pretty big. You know what I mean? Like, really big. You get what I'm saying? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You follow me? You follow me? Barnacles have one of the biggest penises in the entire animal kingdom. Kinda. Sorta, depending on the context, I guess. Let's talk about it. Okay, so blue whales famously have the largest penis of all the animals in the world, and me and the barnacles, we're not here to dispute that. In terms of absolute size, the blue whale is the rightful owner of that award, but let's talk about penis to body ratio. The average penis size of a blue whale is about 2.5 meters long, and their average body length is about 26 meters long, so that puts a blue whale's P to B, which I guess I'm gonna call it that, at 0.1 to 1. Humans aren't that far off from whales. Average penis size for a human is about 13.12 centimeters, and average height is about 171 centimeters, so that gives us a P to B of about 0.08 to 1. Now guess where barnacles are at? Barnacle P to B is 8 to 1. 8 to 1. Their penises are 8 times their body length, which is utterly bananas. And I know what you're thinking.
This is a load of barnacles.
But it's true. And you know who first discovered this fact? Darwin. Yeah, that Darwin. This Darwin. The Charles Darwin wrote 4 monographs between 1851 and 1854 that were only about barnacles, and the monograph where he first mentions barnacle penis size is over 600 pages long. I didn't find this out until I started doing research for this video. Why didn't anyone tell me that Darwin was super obsessed with barnacles? Everyone's always like, oh, he was into finches and the Galapagos Islands and the process whereby organisms better adapted to their environment tend to survive and produce more offspring, aka natural selection. Yeah, and also barnacles? I honestly thought I wasn't going to reference Darwin until I made a video that involved a more in-depth discussion about evolution, but man, Chuck, I'm so glad you're here. It was so exciting to find out that you loved barnacles so much. Oh wait, never mind. Anyway, yeah, so barnacles obviously use their giant penises to reproduce, and how reproduction works in barnacles is pretty simple. They come in 3 different flavors, I guess, when it comes to who possesses what physical sexual characteristics. Most species of barnacle are hermaphrodites, which means individuals possess both male and female reproductive organs. Some species of barnacle are dioeci, which means males and females are separate individuals, and some are androdioeci, which means that there are males and hermaphrodites. And what happens is that whoever has a penis in their inventory, when it's time to mate, they extend it out of their body and literally just start poking around amongst their neighbors. They don't really have eyes, they can't see what they're doing, so they just kind of gotta go by feel. If they manage to get it into another barnacle, then they release a bunch of sperm, and hopefully the inseminated individual is a female or a hermaphrodite who is planning to produce eggs. And that's it! It's not very romantic. Also, sometimes a barnacle will release so much sperm into their partner that the ceri of their partner will get all gummed up, which, 1, gross, and 2, rude. But once the eggs are fertilized, they will be kept inside of the barnacle until they hatch, at which point they get released out into the water and go find their own place to settle down. And the circle of life continues. So unsurprisingly, the reason that barnacles have to reproduce like this is because they are stuck to something and cannot ever move. This is called being sessile, and there are a good number of marine animals that are the same, like sponges, corals, and several bivalves. But the way that they reproduce, in my opinion, makes so much more sense. These guys broadcast spawn, which is just those who have the eggs take your eggs, and those who have the sperm, you take your sperm, and you just spew them out into the water. Everything mixes together out there in the open ocean, and that's how eggs get fertilized. And the fertilized eggs usually just float around until they hatch. Simple, easy, straightforward. It's a great way to reproduce, especially if you cannot move. But for some reason, barnacles just Tokyo drifted in a completely different direction from other sessile animals and went with giant penises instead. Well, most barnacles. There are studies that have been conducted that show that some species of gooseneck barnacle do sperm casting, which is when only the sperm gets spit out into the water and the individuals possessing the eggs collect it. But there are still a lot of barnacle species that, you know, do it like they do on the Discovery Channel? God, that is such a bad joke. But barnacles are such a great example that goes against this prevalent idea about evolution, where like evolution is this process that results in a perfect animal, whatever that means. When that isn't the case at all, evolution is very much a process of throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks, and also what doesn't. In this case, evolution threw giant penises at barnacles, and while it would arguably make more sense for barnacles to broadcast spawn like other sessile animals, giant penises work well for barnacles now. That might change in the future, and barnacles will need to evolve new ways to reproduce or run the risk of going extinct, but who knows? Evolution is not about an end goal. It is only about change. Ain't that right, Chuck? Thanks for watching another episode of Alien Ocean. I just want to give a really quick shout out to our very first patron ever. Thanks, Daniela, for supporting the work that we do here on this channel. If you'd like to become a patron yourself and get your name forever immortalized in the credits of a YouTube video, you can sign up at patreon.com/theoctopuslady, and link is also in the description. Anyway, tune in next time. We'll be talking about seahorses, and until then, this has been your friendly neighborhood octopus lady, reminding you that you don't need to go into space to find aliens.